Speaking of which, right? Of, big market teams and stuff like that. I want to talk about the Knicks, right? The Knicks fucking suck. All right, don't get me wrong, but the Knicks have been so bad. I mean, just think about it, dude. The last time the Knicks were even competitive was during that 60-win team with the Knicks with Melo as like a top 3 MVP candidate. I think that was in like 2013, right? So that was like 7 years ago. And then you go back further than that. Like the Knicks haven't had competent teams since 1998, where they went to the finals, right? Yeah, I know. You got like, like, Spreewell, Larry Johnson and Ewing. Like, dude, like, those guys are ancient now, right? Like, the Knicks weren't really a great team since Patrick Ewing, basically. I don't really count the Melo teams. The Melo teams were not good, right? The only time Carmelo Anthony on the Knicks was good was that 2013 team when they lost the Pacers. And those guys got exposed, right? I mean, the Knicks were basically a soft team that, relied on a bunch of three-point shooting, right? Basically. And, they got exposed against the Pacers where they got played against so hard physical defense. And, they lost, right? They beat the Celtics, right? And a close call, too, because J.R. Smith was talking mad shit. Like, talking like, hey, your run is over. It's our time now, right? J.R. Smith been talking shit. So, that almost bit them in the ass. They beat him by 7, if I remember correctly. So, that was terrible. So, the Knicks got some, like, curse going on. I don't know if it's the owner. If it really is the owner. I mean, dude, like, just imagine, you owning the Knicks, right? You lose every season. Basically, you lose, like, let's see. Basically, you lose, like, 20 seasons, right? Let's just say rough or take, give or take 20 seasons, and you still make a bunch of money, right? Because it's New York. Easy money, right? So, people are clamoring for you to get fired. How do you get fired for owning the team, right? The main problem with, James Dolan is, dude, like, this dude needs to step out and just, like, sit in the skybox or something. No one needs to see you, basically. I don't know why he wants to be seen. Right? I mean, this guy is worth billions. He makes his own shitty ass, country music, songs. Dude, you don't need to be seen, dude. But I guess it's the lure of New York City where, glamour, fashion, and everything, where, you want to be seen, right? But I don't know. They hired Tom Thibodeau. In my opinion, was a bad signing. Tom Thibodeau is not a good coach. I think he's overrated. Like, sure, he got, Derrick Rose, Joakim Noah, Jimmy Butler, all at their respective peaks and whatnot. But he's also the reason those dudes are, running with no cartilage, stuff like that. I mean, Tom Thibodeau will run you down until, the bones, the skin and bones are just rubbing against each other, right? Just destroying your knees. I mean, that's the reputation Tom Thibodeau's had, right? He gets fired from the Chicago Bulls. He goes to the Timberwolves, right? Oh, Timberwolves are basically gonna, are basically gonna, make it the playoffs and whatnot, right? They got a scary future. They got Zach LaVine. They got Karl Anthony Towns. They got Andrew Wiggins. He's gonna boost up their defensive capabilities. At least, right? They give up a boatload of stuff for Jimmy Butler. They make the playoffs like for once, like in like what, like I don't know, like 15 years or like freaking at least 10 years, right? At least like 10 years, right? And dude, the Wolves imploded. Like players do not like him whatsoever. Tom Thibodeau gets fired basically from the Wolves. And he was basically clamoring, saying that, oh, I learned during my time off that, how offenses are run, and like, and I'm taking a step back and, managing my players and, practices and whatnot. I mean, this dude is a great assistant. He's a great defensive assistant. He's just not a good enough coach to do it, right? And now he gets another spot with the Knicks, right? Where it's going to be another rebuilding process, right? Rebuild. So now you got RJ Barrett, you got Mitchell Robinson, you got certain other players that you got Obi Toppin now. What can you do with it, right? Tom Thibodeau does not know a lick about offense. He knows everything about defense, and it shows, right? I mean, every time you've watched his teams, right, it's basically just give it to Derrick Rose, ISO, and he'll bring it home, right? Derrick Rose MVP season, the Bulls won like 60 games. With basically just Derrick Rose giving the ball to Derrick Rose, right? Same thing with the Timberwolves, right? You got like these, lackluster offenses of Zach LaVine, Andrew Wiggins, and Karl-Anthony Towns. So I'm not expecting much from the Knicks. Honestly, the Knicks shouldn't have given it to him. They should have given the job to Kenny Atkinson, right? Basically, a development coach that can, build up a culture, build up their play to the point where, now, like, if you really want to stay with Kenny Atkinson, you could, or you can, let another coach rein in these guys and take them to the next level, right? You need development coaches. I don't think Tom Thibodeau's that kind of guy, right? I mean, there's rumors I've seen that Tom Thibodeau wants to win now. Like, dude, rebuilding is a process. It always has been, right? And, dude, the Knicks have been rebuilding for like 20 years, it seems like, dude. Like, the Knicks, in general, the franchise just hasn't been good, right? This hasn't been good. I mean, the way they manage their players, the way they, things are done, like, it's just sad, dude, to think about the glory years in the Knicks, right? If you think about it, the 90s Knicks were great teams, right? Anchored by Patrick Ewing, Charles Oakley, John Starks, guys like that, and the X-Men, everything. Guys like that, those hard, rugged defense. And those guys were contenders, right? I mean, New York was rocking with those dudes, right? Now, like people who grew up watching the Knicks, there comes a new generation where everyone's seen the Knicks suck, right? The Knicks are a joke. So it's honestly just sad to see the fall of, a great franchise, the New York Knicks. The Knicks haven't been the same. And the NBA hasn't been the same since when New York was rocking, basically. And I just don't think Tom Thibodeau's the guy, dude. He might just run down, RJ Barrett and Mitchell Robinson again. I mean, that's his reputation, right? Like Mitchell Robinson, will he be good? Sure, he'll probably, dude. Mitchell Robinson might win Defensive Player of the Year at the expense of his knees, right? I mean, are you willing to, bet on that? Mitchell Robinson's good, but dude, like, Tom Thibodeau, kind of Arthurian style coaching, it's not really working in the modern day NBA unless you're a winner. And Coach Popovich, he can do shit like that, right? Because he has 5 rings to his name. So if you think you're on that same level, then I got news for you. I mean, Pat Riley, right? He's known for that kind of authoritarian style, practice, right? But you couldn't say shit to him. Like on the Knicks, you couldn't say shit to him because, dude, he was a winning coach for the LA Lakers, right? The Showtime Lakers. He was the coach. He got rings, so you can't really say shit to him, right? You can say shit to Tom Thibodeau. Like who do you think you are? Like, you didn't win shit. Like you think this is a way of winning? You didn't win anything when you were the Bulls or on the Wolves, right? You've had your chances. So, the fall from grace for the Knicks is pretty sad, but here's hoping that now that Tom Thibodeau has a rebuilding phase going on right now, that he can possibly, develop his players. I'm expecting RJ Barrett to, develop, even though he didn't get really a chance to develop as much because, all these players on the Knicks, the problem with the Knicks is they're playing for their next contract, so they're selfish as fuck, right? It's basically every man for themselves on the Knicks. And you can see Julius Randle's dumbass, always spitting. You see Elfrid Payton, like he won't pass the ball to RJ Barrett, because these guys know their time at the Knicks is like basically short term. While RJ Barrett, Mitchell Robinson, maybe Kevin Knox, those guys have been there for a bit. They've been there for a while. So, Obi Toppin, he's gonna be there, part of the future for a while. So, these older veterans are not passing the ball. So, this selfish dynamic, like if the Knicks really want to succeed, you need to get rid of those players, get more veterans that, tell them like, dude, your role on this team is to help our future, right? If you're not part of that, if you're not thinking about that, you need to get out of this team, right? Like, we'll buy you out of this team. Like, the Knicks really need to change basically everything, like their culture and everything, right? Because these dudes are all man for themselves right now. So you need to tell like RJ Barrett, bro, do not pass the ball to Julius Randle or whatever. You need to be the one, taking over, and or else all hope is lost for the Knicks. So yeah, the Knicks. Sorry for the Knicks fans, but I'm just not on, that train of, Tom Thibodeau is the savior for the Knicks, right? It's you think he's a good coach, like, no, whatnot, bro. We've already seen this, story already, right? So, get ready for, another top 10 pick for the Knicks next season. Yeah.